What if Michael Jordan played in today's NBA? Would he be the GOAT or would he be DeMar DeRozan? For the sake of this video, let's assume we're taking 1993 prime Michael Jordan and dropping him into 2021, because the other argument is if he's playing in today's NBA, that means he would have to grow up in today's game, he would be shooting more, and I just don't want to get into that right now because it's kind of a different story. I want to talk about this, which is more of a pure argument, just taking the Jordan we knew and what would he do in today's game. Now, first thing I want to do is compare 1993 to 2021. In 93, there were 19 players who scored over 20 points per game, while in 2021, there are 33 players scoring over 20 points a game. And in 1993, there were 86 field goal attempts per game, 9 of them being three-pointers. And in 2021, there are 88 field goal attempts per game and 34 of them being three-pointers. Now, what this shows me is that the better players in our league are scoring more now than they were back then. And obviously, a lot more threes are being taken. So what this tells me is that the floor is more open, giving the better players in the league more of an opportunity to score and just create and do what they got to do. Because it's not as enclosed, it's not so much focused on in the paint. So some stats may be a little more inflated nowadays than they were back then, which is not necessarily bad. Just the evolution of the game, which is perfectly normal. It seems a little easier for the best players to score now than it was back then. Jordan averaged 30 points a game over his entire career, which is crazy. And he was doing that against defenses that were set up to defend the paint and around the paint, while Jordan's skills were scoring in the paint and around the paint. Jordan wasn't known for being a three-point shooter, even though when he started taking a little more threes a game, he actually averaged 40% from behind the three in one season. But he was scoring on defenses that were meant to stop exactly what he was doing, which is just even more impressive. Besides the fact that he'd be the best two-way player in the league today because of how good he was at defense and his scoring ability, it's just he would be a cheat code. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to average 60 points on 70% from the field, because that's not realistic. But I do think Michael Jordan could put up 40 points a game in today's NBA. If people like Harden are doing it like a couple years ago, and Harden's a great scorer, but Michael Jordan is a different breed in my opinion. He averaged 40 points over an NBA Finals, which is crazy. 40 points is insane. And if he was doing that against defenses that were designed to stop that, I can't imagine what he'd do against defenses that were designed to stop the three. Because if Jordan was surrounded by shooters, he'd have all the space in the world to do what he has to do. And don't even get me started on fouls, because fouls back then are much different than fouls now. Fouls back then were harder, they were tougher, there were a lot more no calls back then than there are now. Things are just a little softer now, like a little smack on the wrist is gonna get a call most of the time, while people were getting beat up back then. Not literally beat up, but fouls are definitely harder back then. If people like James Harden are shooting a lot of free throws, I can't imagine what Jordan would be shooting. He already shot a lot of free throws from playing back then. Imagine if he played now, how much he would be getting fouled and going to the line, and people would be complaining even more. And don't be the guy saying he can't average 40 points if he doesn't shoot threes or whatever that argument is, because Giannis is averaging 30 a game, Zion averaging 25, and now Michael Jordan is so much more fluid on offense than both those guys combined. Michael Jordan has a great mid-range game, and if he needs to step out, he can step out. And Giannis is still putting up 30 points a game. Michael Jordan would fry this league, in my opinion. 40, 41, 42 points. I wouldn't even be surprised. So it's a completely different era. So it's obviously all speculation. It's my thoughts. But if that Jordan came to this league, I think it would be over for the league. He would be destroying everyone. He didn't want to just beat you. He wanted to beat you mentally. So he'll come for you no matter what. And I don't think people can handle it nowadays. But that's it for today. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you guys want to see next. That's it for me. I'm out. Peace.